According to Reuters, only 600 people lost their jobs for criticizing Charlie Kirk after his death. When they tried to reach Matt Walsh for his comments about this, he wrote back, off. My name is Casey. I've been a husband, a father, and a therapist for more than a decade, and I started this channel to try to press forward common sense in the field of psychology, as well as a conservative perspective from somebody you might not expect. If you can support that at all, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to earn it. Let's get into it.
But Charlie was a great man. He was a patriot. He loved God. He loved his family. All that came through. But the word that keeps coming to my mind when I think about Charlie is, in fact, it's the word that I used after I met Charlie the first time and I called my wife, and it's just impressive. In this business, there are some people who can be personalities and can talk in front of the camera. And then there are people who are kind of the organizers behind the scenes. I don't know anyone who was an A-plus talent in both areas. And yet Charlie was. You kind of hear this conversation now, which is inevitable, about, well, who's going to replace Charlie? Who's going to be the new Charlie Kirk? And I am truly sorry to say that the answer is nobody.
Americans have been losing their jobs when they speak out on political terms since 2020, especially. There have been hundreds of jobs lost for taking a stand on a variety of political issues. And if you have free speech, that doesn't mean you have freedom from consequences. And Reuters takes a special umbrage with the fact that there were cancellations of individuals. Really, they weren't canceled. They just lost their jobs. Of individuals on the left who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, primarily because they said that this was a switch up for Republicans who had, typically represented free speech idealism, whereas the left had been canceling us for political speech for an exceedingly long time, debanking people even. And yet the first time that the right takes it into their own hands after one of their heroes and friends was murdered, they have big tears for these folks. Reading a little bit from the article, it says this is an exceedingly long article, too much to read, so I did it for you. It says many Republican officials have embraced the punitive campaign. Some proposed extraordinary measures, including lifetime bans from social media for those deemed to be reveling in Charlie Kirk's death. The U.S. State Department, on a special episode of Kirk's podcast on September 15th, Vice President J.D. Vance urged his listeners to inflict consequences on those celebrating Kirk's death. Call them out, and hell, call their employer, Vance said. Vance's office pointed Reuters to his comments made earlier in this year, in which the vice president said, "Where I draw the line is encouraging violence against political opponents." So Reuters says that Libs of TikTok was also in the mix as creating some of this uproar. Scott Pressler as well were pointing out many of the people who spoke out publicly against Charlie Kirk after his death, and they believe that many educators and teachers were special targets of this campaign, whereas they are public people who are being paid a salary by the taxpayer, and so their speech is often clamped down upon in ways that might make them uncomfortable when they take a stand. But really the only difference here is that the right wing is happening to be the one doing the clamping, and that's something the left is very not used to.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
So this is the best part of the article, and it happens to be the only part where they directly quote Matt Walsh. Here's what he said. "It's good that they are shamed and humiliated and must live with the repercussions for the rest of their lives," Matt Walsh told his audience as he discussed the firings. "It's good if they wake up every day until they die wishing they had not said what they said." When Reuters asked Matt Walsh for comment, he said, "off." And this is exactly what the media deserves after they pressed the narrative forward that everybody who's on the right, to the right of Mitt Romney, is somehow a bad guy from WW2 and deserves all the scorn and punch a Nazi and all those things. This is exactly what the media deserves, which is no quarter. It's no quarter November. It's time to put the media exactly in their place. And if there were consequences for speech, I do not see that as a cancellation, especially when you are reviling in the death of a father whose 3-year-old daughter, ran to him after the shots rang out to try to be comforted. They deserved what they got. They got what they deserved, and 600 people is far too few. I would use any entity of government intervention that was possible during this administration to put those folks in a correct place where they know that this type of political violence should not be celebrated under any circumstance. If you can get behind this message, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you again real soon.